Hello, friends and neighbors and fans. My name is John LaMuth, and I'm a visiting professor with the American University of Sovereign Nations, and I also did my dissertation with the university, and here's the abstract. I wanted to go, this basically summarizes my whole theory and dissertation. So I wanted to go over briefly the abstract, and then we'll go to some diagrams which make it a lot clearer. So let me just read through this real quick with some comments. In our modern secular age has favored the trend towards moral relativism, at least in the United States. I know it's different in other countries, as opposed to moral absolutism underlying organized religion. And ideally a behavioral science foundation linking these two perspectives should prove very beneficial, something that hasn't really been done in detail before. We all have behavioral tendencies, and we work on a job to get rewarded and that kind of thing. But and this invokes instinctual principles shared in common by all of humanity as well as the rest of the animal kingdom. If any of you have dogs or cats, you know, they're like little people, you know. I mean, as far as you can see what their motives are and everything. So it's good that this also works for conserving animal life as well, if we can show this. And when it's expanded to human cultural values, the virtues and values, at least in the Western tradition, rightfully enter the picture. I know in the Asian culture, they use a lot of the same, very much the same virtues and values. Like Buddhism, they have equanimity and love and peace, and that's what my system is all about here. So a radically new model of motivated behavior is currently proposed, like melding the two, behaviorism and the value ethics. We use virtues and values. And the most important application on this is this synthesis is organized as a 10-level hierarchy of authority and follower roles. And using this, since we're all using the same virtues and values in common around the world, the moral commonalities across all religious traditions are emphasized, encouraging new inroads into religious tolerance. Okay, so I know everybody has their own Messiah or prophet or someone that they give all their moral authority to. But if you can ground it in behavioral terms, you can get beyond that and have more tolerance for other religions. And this also serves the secular constituency, where, particularly in the United States, moral issues have been downplayed because they don't want to. They want to avoid religious favoritism. In the United States, it's Christianity, or in the Middle East, it's Islam. And said the secular kids, especially kids coming up in school and everything, they don't have the virtues and the values that originally were taught. And this self-same system, it serves as a valuable adjunct to the major religion, but it doesn't favor any one of them. Okay, so everybody, it's like the great equalizer. Everybody has an equal stake in the game here. So this encourages, as we go down below there, it's
What in there?
doesn't favor anyone, so
Next
you
there.
can get peaceful coexistence across all of the religions of the world. And that's the biggest application here for global peace and harmony. And so I'm going to show in the diagram coming up here that the peace and harmony are also included. Like on page 19 of my dissertation, page 19, I got the master grouping of the virtues and the values. The original dissertation came out to be 200 pages, so like 60,000 words. And here's a diagram here. There's actually, well, we'll cut this part off. Let's start on the top there. Yeah. Okay. This here we got the personal authority and the personal follower. And as you can see here, these are terms taken from like behavioral psychology. Why acts solicitously in anticipation of your approval, or submissively in anticipation of leniency. This is the reinforcement. This is what I call the procurement behaviors. And since it's a two-stage process, only one can occur in the present at any given time, which is the authority role. So we go down here, approval comes down here, and it's in active state as desire, and the desire for your aspiring treatment, which is, as you see, they cross paths here. Leniency equates to worry. I worry about you in anticipation of your compliant treatment. And if you shift these one stage back, and then you come across you get back to the original state there. And then the personal authority gives way to the group authority. The group authority says, I'm not only your personal authority, I'm authority over the whole group. And then you see the higher correspondence here. Glory, honor, dignity, integrity. Those are the properties of the group authority. And then the group follower, what I call group representative. You got the Cardinal Virtues, which are a very, very famous grouping according to Plato and Aristotle. Prudence, justice, temperance, and fortitude. And this is where we basically do most of our everyday routines, the personal and the group. But you can get down to it, the group of all groups, what I call universal authority, or a spiritual authority claims authority over the group of all groups, or all mankind. This is like Venn diagram, set theory. So you got universal authority. That's okay. No, it's not bothering me down here. And then you got the spiritual disciple here, where you got the theological virtues. Theology, equates with religion. Faith, hope, charity, and decency. So, and then you can see how they kind of go up. You got approval, then you got prudence, then you got faith. They're all kind of related to some degree, and you see the kind of the hierarchy. And you think, well, you can't get any higher than the universal set, but you got the humanitarian set. Here where it's the humanity over all ages of times. So you bring the historical time into it. And then you see these are more like time related. Grace, free will, magnanimity, equanimity. And beauty, truth, goodness, wisdom. So it's getting very, very abstract. But surprise, surprise, there's even a level further on than that, which is the transcendental level, which transcends all of the all the other lower levels of subsets. So here you get the most advanced ones. Peace, love, tranquility, equality. I mean, like I said, everybody uses those, and even you get into a mystical level, ecstasy, bliss, joy, and harmony, which is the highest nameable range, but you could even maybe go beyond that to a supernatural realm, you know, and so this is a basic outline of the whole master hierarchy. Nothing like this has ever been done before. Nobody's ever put it together in one big comprehensive system like this. I said I had to add a few terms that show how to make it into the four-part thing. Like usually beauty, truth, and goodness are the classic Greek vibe, but you can also bring in wisdom, which fits very nicely. Theological virtues, I added decency here to make that. And some of these are all new groupings that I pulled together. So, and like I said, the major religions of the world, they're all kind of in line with, especially these very highest ones, the very highest ideals. And this shows how, like I said, you can get no religion will be favored any more than any other, so there'll be no strife, no wars. Everybody's respected for their own traditions, and so that's and then I was going to talk a little bit about the schematic definitions on page 53. So the hierarchy is so systematic that, yeah, right here, there, yeah, that you can plug them into a formula where you include the authority roles and the follower roles, and you show how each one rises to the next higher step. So here, previously you have rewardingly act approvingly towards me in response to my solicitous treatment of you. But now I, as group authority, will gloriously act solicitously towards you in anticipation of your approving treatment. So it shows how this can go to an ever higher level, especially within each quadrant of the hierarchy. And you can I applied or was granted a U.S. patent for ethical artificial intelligence, showing how this can be programmed into a computer and give you artificial intelligence that's automatically trustworthy. It can only operate in terms of the virtues and the values. So you'd always be able to trust it, and it's kind of a hot desert afternoon here. But I'm going to maybe kind of wind it up. I've been talking for like half hour now. But this Scroll down, we'll see the definitions. See, this goes all the way up to the highest, even to the transcendental, the ecstasy, tranquility, beauty, ecstasy, grace, tranquility. This is only the first page. There's actually 4 pages of these. We'll scroll through slowly here, showing the whole extent of what's contained within the patent. And I was lucky enough to sell the patent, so it's still maybe being developed as we speak here. So let's go down to the next page. Here's the ones based on submissiveness, honor, justice. This is really, they have their social justice group. Most of these are incorporated in this one table. Justice, liberty, hope, and down a little bit there we got the big one, freedom, free will, truth, equality. These are all major themes in the social justice movement, which AUSN is very involved with, and through seeing it all united, we're able to really make a major difference in how these are going to be, how these can be incorporated for the whole world as well. And let's go down to page 166 here. I also got the, it's going to be quite a ways here, because we're on page 54. 166, I talk about the general unifying themes for the okay, we're coming up on, yeah. There we go. Every authority level has its own basic theme. There's personal authority, you've got individualism. Personal follow, pragmatism, what's practical for the individual, which goes into utilitarianism, what's practical for the group representative, and the group authority, personalism. You got spiritual authority, you get into romanticism for the entire, what's romanticized for the entire world, what's the whole world going to be interested in. Ecclesiasticism is spiritual congregation. And then we get the time modes here, ecumenism, eclecticism, and then finally humanism. Boy, AUSN is all about the humanistic viewpoint, and then even mysticism. So I just want to show how this fits on top of the other, and I would like to maybe open this up for the questions then, so I don't want to hog all the time here. And so if you have any questions, please let me know.
Yes, sir.
Anybody from the gallery here too. If there's something that I didn't explain well enough or something, or you want to offer your own interpretation on this.
Actually, when I did my MBA, Masters in Business Administration,
Sure.
the same thing, the same motivation, virtues, values, communication, all this I had mentioned, especially when motivation must be done as far as the students are concerned by the teachers. Because most of the students, those who finish their BE or those who finish their +2, those who finish their +2, they are concentrating too much on the subject. They don't think about anything else but only about different subjects that they are doing. Once they finish their +2, that is, they finish their school final, okay, then they join the college. Once they join the college, they are not interested in taking anything serious. They don't have the motivation. They don't have virtues or ideas or ideals. There is no one to communicate with them. So I was giving a lecture for the teachers in Fatima College, Madurai, that is in Tamil Nadu. And I also gave a lecture in Mangayakarsi College, which is also there in Madurai, where I had to tell them that the teachers must motivate the students to take the subject very seriously, plus the way that they have to behave within the college properly. There should be what you call ethics. There should be ethics. They don't have ethics. Once they finish the school final and they come to the college, they lose what you call the ethical values. They are just there to study.
Yeah, they think that it's a pleasant accident they come to higher education.
They are not bothered about
Ethical
the way
virtues.
that they must have virtues, ideals, and ethical values they should have. That they don't have. So I had to tell the teachers to motivate the students, not just study, get the degree and go away. That is not the way. But they should have ethical values and virtues in the way in which they behave within the organization which is called the college.
Well, that's why I think that the parents in the very earliest years, before they even get into preschool, that's very important to teach them the right values, especially like the golden rule. You treat others like you would like to be treated, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time for the child to get even the idea of another separate individual consciousness. But once they do, these can be instilled at an early age, and especially like in the lower grades also, where the teacher can teach them how to get along in the group as a classroom there.
Yes.
Right.
And then, and like I said, this is why the system is so good, because public schools are mostly secular and they don't want to bring in religion, but you can bring in these virtues and values divorced from any kind of supernatural kind of flavor on that. So in the United States they call this character education in a lot of the private schools, and also they have charter schools that they have more flexibility to do this. And I think if, like I said, this training starts early at home with the family, and if they have some kind of religious church they go to, also they can go Sunday school there, and also in the public schools. By the time they do get to college at your level, they'll all be perfectly behaved, because they'll have the patterns already in there. I mean, they might be selfish a little bit, and they want to get by as easy as they can. But if they're really enthused about what they're learning, they're not going to need. They're going to be right on their work and soaking all of it up. Especially, I bet you're a great teacher too.
And there is another question which I would like to ask.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not just
Hey, I'm gonna. How about if I turn the air on it? I mean, people will be able to hear the questions and everything. So let's get some.
Not only that.
No, those people will not be
being
able to
recorded.
hear.
It's not just
recording too.
Yeah, it's being
Okay.
recorded, photographed and recorded. See, it is not just academic behavior that we expect the children to do. Those who have completed the school final, those who are now 17 to 20, we expect them to do academic behavior, organizational behavior, administrative behavior, and then societal behavior. So we are concentrating on all this, that there should be ideals, virtues, and there must be communication between the teachers and the students so that they try to change their behavior within the academic institutions. And then when they are going to take up a job in any organization, they'll have to try and finalize and follow the ideals and the virtues which is dictated to them by the teachers. They don't listen to their parents. Once they finish the school final, I've seen so many, they don't obey, they don't hear whatever the parents say. They say, do whatever you want, I will do whatever I want. That is the way that the children are behaving. That is the reason why we believe in communication. Communication of the teacher to the students in academic institutions, and then in an organization, if they are going to take up a job or if they are going to do higher studies. For everything, they'll have to have what you call organizational behavior and then administrative behavior. How they should behave. What are the virtues? Let us forget about the religion. Let us forget about it can be Islam, it can be Buddhism, it can be Chineseism, it can be the Chinese religion, I'm sorry. And when we are talking about Hinduism, let us forget about all this. Let us only think about what you call secular issues, right? That is the reason why we are concentrating on what you call communication, which is very much, and motivation on the part of the teachers, so that they will motivate the students properly.
Well, I want to bring it back the parents back into the picture too, because I think a lot of these students are having their parents are paying their tuition and paying for their living expenses if they live in the dorm and everything. So I think
Parental attention.
the parents should be brought if there's these kind of behavior conduct problems that the parents should be notified and say your student is in danger of flunking out of the college, and you need to talk to them,
In spite of the fact that I'm a mother as well as a teacher, my children won't listen to me. They will say, we will follow our own way. We have done this, we have done that. No, you don't ask us to do this, to do that. Don't ask us to follow virtues, values. That is the way my children also used to say that. Once they became a dentist, once one became an IT professional, they are least bothered about communication. That is the reason why when they entered the dental college, when my daughter went into the dental college and when my son went to the IT, I made the teachers communicate to them, motivate them properly as to how they should behave in a proper administration in the organization. And the same thing, I was giving lectures in 2-3 colleges to the teachers so that they will propagate virtues and ideals.
As Mr. John rightly said,
Yeah.
and Madam Aruna rightly said, we have to, teachers' attention as well as the parents' attention is very much important. It's high time. Both are very important, like our eyes, both eyes. Right, John?
Right, yeah, you sounds like you really did a good job
Yeah.
raising your family there. I mean, so they're all pretty successful and everything.
And above all, there is a generation gap. That generation gap sometimes change the behavioral patterns of the students. And in addition, the third party also enters in student affairs in the name of student unions. They don't listen to anybody, either to the college administration or to their parents or to the teachers, wherein they lack the educational ethics, developmental ethics rather, if we call it development for individual, for the institution, for the globe.
In my opinion, they have lost.
Exactly.
The education, after education.
Yeah.
That is school final.
Yeah.
They have lost
They have
ethics.
lost.
So we have to go about, teaching
I'm
them.
sure there are some good students.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the students that are rebellious,
Yeah.
they gain most of the attention. But I think if we start with, like I said, with elementary school, at public school, and showing, give them the big picture of how all the virtues fit together, how
Yep.
society fits together.
Yep.
They're going to want to be a better part of society, and they're going to want to do their part as students, and then as entry level in the workforce, and as they work, they're going to work their way up and get into positions of power, because they're playing the game the right way, you
Yeah.
know. And the other ones that flunk out of college and have to take a low-paying job, they're going to maybe realize their mistakes and try and get back in with the help of their parents, and so that they can get a piece of the dream, you know. I know India, the tech field is going up so fast, and they're making these big, huge salaries and everything, you know. I mean,
John, even sometimes I realize that students feel that they are closely supervised both by the parents up to the school level and by the management or the teacher at the college level. They lose independence, so they don't want to listen to anybody. They want to be free, and they want what they want.
To live a free life.
Free life.
According to their own...
whims and fancies.
well, everybody goes through that stage. I mean, you want to be
This particular
independent from your
Yeah.
parents and everything, and sometimes it goes too far, so.
In addition, what I may think at times is, even in the name of modernity, in the name of modern education, or in the name of the use of technology, they have started abusing the technology and finding into some problematic issues, landing up in some problem issues, and they don't plan their careers as they are supposed to do it. Even neither the parents nor the teachers, and even because nobody is listening each other. They have a different idea. The student pressure group plays a very major role at this juncture in most of our Asian countries.
That is why I was telling the teachers
Yeah.
to motivate the students so that when they finish their education, they take up a job.
Yeah.
There must be what you call proper social behavior
Yeah.
and proper social responsibility.
Exactly. That's what when she was director of Teachers Academic College, Professors Academic College,
Yeah, staff.
she used to repeatedly cry on these basic issues, but no teachers listened to her. But only few teachers who have listened, we have followed her. I am her student.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I am Madam's student.
Oh, another success
I
story.
listened to the value. I was concentrating on the ethical values, and also I respected my teachers. So am I today, sitting by the side of my teacher. I am a proud student.
I tell you, I love happy endings, man.
Yeah, but whatever you have written, that is really
Really
exceptional.
awesome.
Yeah, exceptional.
Let me just get.
You're great, John. Sitting in this part of the country, you contribute so much to the
Yeah.
academics here.
You have done so much.
Yeah, so much.
You have done so much. We should congratulate you.
Yeah.
And I think this book must be
Yeah.
Yeah.
popularized in India, in Tamil
In
Nadu.
Tamil Nadu. If you don't mind, you can say, if Daryl is coming to India, you send 1 or 2 copies.
Yeah.
We'll place
I
it in
think
our.
we'll invite you
Yeah,
to
invite
Tamil
you,
Nadu,
Tamil Nadu.
so that you give lectures.
Pass it around, pass
To
it down
India.
the road, the rest of
Yeah.
everybody wants to see it.
It's around 200 pages work.
Yeah, it's small print. I mean, there's a lot of words in there.
Yeah.
You should be invited to give lectures to
Dr.
different
Daryl, he
colleges.
has done a marvelous
Different
work in
colleges
this
as
field.
to how they should motivate the
Yeah, students. And the importance of parents' attention. Parents think once they leave the school, that's their job is over, they put in some
Yeah.
college.
You should be able to give lectures to parents
Yeah,
separately,
Separately.
and to teachers separately, and to students separately.
separately. Otherwise you cannot come back to America.
You
They will
shouldn't
get
come
out
back.
of you.
Well, we're firing up all the applications, you know. I mean, it's like.
Yeah, it's as good as India.
Okay, Hassam, you have some questions, please?
No, I was just had a comment or just, you said your thesis is linking different types of religion with your work, right? Is that what you said?
No, it's mostly based on I was brought up in the Western tradition here, and a strong Christianity was very strong in the West.
Yeah.
In Western Europe and also brought over to the United States and everything.
How do you compare, when you stop here, how do you compare the Islamic relationship around this area with your thing or with your upbringing or something? Because I myself am from that religion, the Muslim religion. So how does it go on or carry on?
Well, the Quran, they use all of the same kind of virtues and values, and I quote Al-Ghazali in there. He was one of my major sources of of the virtues. In fact, Virgin Mary and Jesus, they're mentioned a lot in the Quran, and in fact, some even more so than the Bible, you know. So
Yeah, even Tolstoy has written about Jesus. Is it not?
Yeah.
Tolstoy, a very good book.
Great philosopher.
The Kingdom of God is within you.
mhm.
That is the book that was written by Tolstoy. He doesn't talk about any particular God, but all religions and all gods are the same.
But I know that like I said in the Quran, they even, you know, it's based a lot on Jewish principles, you know, and they go into how it transformed into Christianity and Islam now is the final word, and I can see that it has a lot of admirable traits, you know, to talk about and everything. And,
I understand that, and I understand, okay, there are no conflicts going on or something, but I mean, I was trying to compare it with this recent type of ban that President Trump put on in the middle. So I was just wondering that how is the US taking Muslims in general, because you did mention something about relativism.
well, like I said, Trump only got elected by half the population, so he really speaks for half.
Okay.
The other half, you know, is they may be against some of how strict some of it is and everything, and
Right.
so politics is a balancing act, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
and if you're just a little bit on top, then you get elected. If not, you're out.
That is exactly correct.
So
Good balancing.
yeah, but like I said, this system will be able to, like I said, help Islam and Christianity get along better together, you know, and that way, if there's not as much conflict and the radical kind of practice that's on all camps, you know, and maybe the mainstream people will tell them, quiet it down. We want to be mainstream. We all want to get along together and be happy together, you know. So I think there's an immense potential here. Once the word gets out, that there is a big picture. And what I didn't mention in this presentation is there's also what Aristotle calls the vices of defect, which are the opposites of the virtue. For love, you have hate. For peace, there's war. And all. I couldn't get into it in my dissertation because it was too long as it is. But you can show how you can avoid the negative and enhance the positive. And that's all in the path too. It's immense potential to understand criminality, what's going on with criminality, and even some of the mental disorders. And they have the antisocial personality, which is against society, you know. And we want to be all doing our part to support society and keep everything flowing, because if we all had to go back to being hunters and gatherers, I mean, it would be a pretty rough life. We wouldn't be sitting around here philosophizing, you know, and having this luxury, you know. So this really has a sense of urgency too, you know, when you see how close it comes, how some of these attacks, you know, could really disrupt the whole world economy, you know. And, I mean, it's the first time in history that the whole world is interconnected through the internet and commerce and everything. And like I said, every part of the world has to do its part to stay compatible, and even if they don't like some of their stuff that's going on. The United States is criticized for its capitalist framework, and China, they want more of the socialist thing. And so, but we could show with this, we could show that we're all using the same virtues and values, you know. And I think this is going to really go over big in China, because they want to be strictly secular. They're shutting down all kinds of religion, and their population, their young ones growing up, could have this big picture, you know, of all the virtues and values, and how to avoid the darker side. And I just got great hope, you know. I just hope we can see it happen here.
It's wonderful.
Maybe
You have exhibited very important
online.
issues. You have exhibited very important issues in this connection. We are happy about it.
Well, I want everybody in the university, you know, like I said, watch some of the school tapes and everything, and show them to all their partners in their, whatever country they're at, and that way, you know, it'll expand and grow, you know. Like I said, Jesus started with only 12 disciples, and look, you got 3 billion now, you know. So, you know, these positive things can happen, you know. Think there's anybody online, Daryl?
So, any questions from the Skype group?
I hate to cut off anybody.
Any questions on Skype? And then, so how do you think it applies? I'd like to ask both in the, we had a comment before from Hassan, in the Islamic context, and Lalita in the Hindu context, or Rajendra. Does this model of hierarchies of different virtues and vices work?
Definitely, if we instill the values in children from the young age, you know, so when Professor Ravi Shankar came to America, I have been living with my family. My daughters were 2 and 4 when we came to America. He asked me that, how do you bring up the Indian culture? You know, so since you have been living in America for the last 18 years, how did they get assimilated more into westernized, and, you know, then forget about all the Indian cultural things? I said, absolutely not. Because from the beginning, every day, you know, while reading with them and playing with them and, you know, eating food with them, you know, I talk about our culture and tradition and how to behave, you know, teaching them the values and morals. So I'm really proud to say that even though my girls are 19 and 21, you know, they both are in med school, and they still follow that, you know. So if the mommy says that, yeah, you know, they know their consciousness and they check with me, and, you know, they do that. So I strongly believe, even as an educator, I'm a middle school teacher for 4th to 8th grade, and if we instill the values from the beginning and reinforce every day, you just don't teach one day and just forget about it. So go through that every day, you know, throughout their career, and then definitely, you know, so those values will stick with them. You know, as Professor Ravi Shankar said, you know, so he learned it from his teacher, and he is following it, and then now he's, you know, able to instill that to his children. So it's a kind of, you know, chain reaction. So, but again, you know, it has to be instilled upon children from the young age, but too on a daily basis, periodically.
Well, I hope you can maybe work some of this into your elementary classes. I know the public schools, they're very, very strict about mention of any kind of religion in the public schools because of the favoritism issue. But I think the new administration is kind of trying to relax that a little bit so that there can be an enlightened discussion without worrying about losing your job and everything, you know, like that. But,
we don't talk about religion in public schools, but we do have kind of group discussion. We start the day with a group talk, and then we end the day with a kind of a circle. So we ask the children, okay, what is, if it is upper class, like 7th and 8th grade children, we ask them the question, oh, did you see that in the news? This is what happened. What do you think? You know, so we ask the kids to express their opinions, and then we talk about it. What do you think? Is it good or bad? You know, so that, because the main problem what we were discussing is about the abuse of the media, because the current children, they don't think twice. You know, if they think that somebody is bad, immediately they post it in the social media saying that so and so is bad. You know, but if they think for a little while and analyze, oh, why did he say that? You know, then they will not post like that. So that is the problem. Yes, having a social media able to connect with the whole world instantly is a good thing. But we need to teach these children to just take a step back and think about it, and you know, think it from the other person's perspective. Why do you think is they have done this? You know, and then analyze and say that, oh, maybe he may be right. You know, so he should not have done this, but he may be right from this perspective. You know, so that kind of thinking skills should be instilled in children. So we do that now.
I can't wait to hear your presentation, your proposal. Daryl says you're going to be giving a presentation, and I think maybe we should move on, because I've been talking for close to an hour here. You know?
Any other comments?
We got at least some time for you. You know, I noticed you got it all lined up on your computer, on your laptop.
Well, thank you very much, John. It's been most delightful.
Thank you all the people online too, and thank all of you for the great questions and comments. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well done.